Welcome to The Conflict Coach with Dr. Emily Taylor. I'm a mediator, developmental psychologist, and married mother of 5. I also teach conflict resolution classes. And like you, I've dealt with a lot of conflict in my own life. And I used to think I could make it all go away if I improved conditions or changed myself. But I've realized that conflict is just part of life. We all need more effective tools to handle it with confidence. So that's what this podcast is about. Each episode, you'll hear me coach a real person through a real conflict in their life. As you listen, you'll notice that I'm not telling them what to do. I'm giving them a set of skills that can apply to any conflict, including the ones in your life. So let's get started. Today, I'm coaching Morgan. She comes from a large family that's all over the map in terms of politics and religion. And they keep in touch with this big group text that has about 15 people on it, including spouses. She says it can get a little dicey sometimes. People get a little confrontational, but mostly it's just for catching up with each other and for happy birthday wishes. Recently, though, one of Morgan's sisters got really offended by something her brother posted on the group chat, and she basically cut off the family. Morgan is upset about the estrangement with her sister, and she doesn't really know what to do from here because her sister won't even return her calls. And that's what we're going to be exploring in our session today. Morgan, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm wondering if you could just give us an overview of the conflict you've been facing with your family members.
Oh, yeah. Recently, my sister, Sam, had a birthday, Samantha. So she is extremely liberal, and my brother is extremely conservative. He sent a video to say happy birthday, and I started watching it, but I was in the middle of things and didn't get to finish it. But what I saw was a person with a MAGA hat imitating Trump. I think it was going to be like singing happy birthday, but immediately I was like, that was stupid. She's not going to think that's a nice birthday present. But I was busy with so many other things, I couldn't get back to it. My mom got on and started fighting with him about that. I responded by saying, can you two please take this off the group text? You're ruining it for everyone else. You need to talk to each other. And then I left it at that. At the end of the day, one sibling got on and said, hey, that text wasn't okay for Samantha. And in an hour or so later, me and any other sibling and parent that, as far as I know, that did not speak up and say that my brother's text wasn't okay, got a text that said, I can read what that text was. I felt hurt when our brother sent that message and you didn't say anything. I need to take some space from our relationship. I've blocked the chat, and please don't contact me. So that's what happened. I responded. I said, can I call you to get more understanding of what's going on? She said, nope, I need space. She accidentally butt dialed me while she was in therapy. And I was like, oh, can I call you? Maybe it's time to talk. And she went, nope, that was an accident. So I am struggling very much with it.
What's most troubling to you about this whole situation?
I do miss her. But I also miss what I thought our relationship was. I am not willing to, I felt it was very unfair, and that I'm not allowed to make mistakes because the consequences are too big, too strict, too drastic. And so if this is the new normal, being in a relationship where makes me feel like I'm walking on eggshells, like I'm afraid to show up as my whole self, making mistakes. Because, and so, yeah, I don't feel safe around her if that's what it is, because I will make mistakes. Holy cow. Yes, that's going to keep happening. And then I felt it was unfair that she had a boundary that she didn't let me know was a boundary. And I'm like, oh, if this was important to you, I could have made sure to do it. But I didn't know. Could I have had the courtesy or the respect to have a conversation about it? Um, Also, she has no idea if I called him on the phone or talked to him. So the automatic assumption that I didn't do anything or wasn't planning on doing anything was hurtful. And but also I didn't think she needed defending. I My values are I'm not going to jump in and defend someone who I think is very capable of taking care of that. I think one, we're not doing it over text, and two, like if she has a problem with how our brother is treating her, she's very capable of picking up the phone and talking to him, and I think that he would listen and say, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Um, and demanding that I do that for her, that feels very childish. Like, I'm a mom. I won't do that for my own kids.
Mhm.
So, it felt more like I need you to be an ally, and this is how I define an ally. And if you don't fit my definition, you don't get to. Yeah, it felt like a very, very hard, offensive line in the sand.
How have you so far attempted to manage the feelings that you have, just the hurt that you've had?
Escapism.
That's a good, honest answer.
Trying to give her space and not let myself worry about it or think about it until we can talk and we have something to worry and think about. But there's so much that I don't know if she's going through or what she's thinking or how. I mean, this behavior doesn't make sense. And so there must be something that she's going through that maybe I don't understand or know. Though at the same time, it could be just kind of where her new values are, and I'm afraid that I there's no room for me.
Okay, friends, family estrangement is really heavy, and it's actually surprisingly common. One of the leading researchers in this field is Dr. Carl Pillemer at Cornell University. He actually estimates that a quarter of American adults are estranged from a close family member. But reconciliation can, and it often does happen. Dr. Pillemer has interviewed hundreds of families who've reconciled, and he's found that one key to making that possible is letting bygones be bygones. What that means is that families who reconcile, they often have to stop rehashing the past arguments that led to the estrangement and focus on rebuilding the relationship from where it is now. Morgan has a lot of unanswered questions about what actually happened with her sister. But right now, she needs a safe environment to think through her own understanding of what happened and then brainstorm ways to move forward. So let's get back to it. In terms of how you usually operate in repairing relationships, even if you feel unfairly punished, right? Like she meted out a punishment, cutting off ties with you. Your usual way of mending, I've heard hints at it, that it seems like you're very comfortable, talking through things, calling up an individual to kind of fix what's going on. Tell me a little bit about more how you go about close family relationships, what you think is helpful to mend differences or like repair what's been hurt.
I try to make sure I'm in a space of being able to differentiate. It's not necessary that people agree with me. And so if I disagree with someone on especially how they're thinking about something or how they're behaving, figure out, well, is there a way that affects me, that doesn't affect me, and things like that. So I feel like I'm good about differentiating that and saying, okay, you can think that, you can do that, but I'd prefer we don't talk about that. And I'm okay getting myself in a calm situation and calling people up one-on-one or seeing them and saying, hey, can we talk about this? In the past, so I have another brother who has cut off our whole family, and that was difficult too because he did something that hurt my feelings, that offended me, and I kind of lashed out, in a text. It was over a decade ago. But instead of coming to me and saying, hey, I felt like that was unfair, let's talk about it, he refused to talk to me to this day. And so that was difficult because same issue. Um, so anyway, so I tried to reach out to him and talk to him after a few years and say, hey, I'm sorry. Got nothing, and it didn't go well. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering like, same situation again, trying to figure out the best way to go about this. I'm kind of wondering if the best way to move forward is maybe just write her a letter and say, I want to give you space. I want to respect your boundaries, the ones I know about, the ones I don't know about. Doing the best I can. Here's what I'm willing to do in our relationship. Here's what I'm not willing to do. Here's what I wish I would have done. Here's what I wish you would have done. If you're willing to talk about it, great. If not, I will, with great difficulty, respect that.
It sounds hard.
Oh, so hard.
Is this, again, thanks for sharing what happened with your brother. It's been 10 years. Is this fairly triggering for you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Knowing that how someone sees I come up short is unlovable. And I feel like that's unfixable because that's what it means to be human.
You see it as their cutting off communication is somewhat of a judgment about how lovable you are.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling me a little bit more about that? How do those two things go together?
I guess the thing that comes to mind is who I've progressed as a person is judged as dangerous, is hurtful. Yeah, so maybe it's not a matter of love, it's a matter that I'm seen as harmful to them. I am not a safe person to be around. I'm not someone they want to be around. I'm not someone that is valued in their life.
So listeners, it's common in any emotional conflict to make assumptions about what the other person's actions or words mean. In fact, it's really hard not to make those assumptions. But you'll recall from previous episodes that in conflict, there's always the story, and then there's the story we're telling ourselves. As we untangle those two, we can begin to see our options more clearly. Are we telling true stories about ourselves? Are the stories we're telling ourselves helpful in resolving difficult issues? As we choose to bring hard things to light, we can make needed changes in how we care for ourselves and others around us. Let's see how that goes for Morgan. Morgan, I'm hearing you say that when someone, especially in these super close family relationships you've had over decades, if they cut you off, the result for you is you feel like they don't value the relationship. Perhaps they don't trust you, and that it's some kind of judgment about their safety, the safety that they feel with you.
Yep.
Is there anything else you would add about what that means when someone, a close, very close family member cuts you off? Is there anything else that you immediately feel or think what that signifies to you?
It's almost like, so a relationship feels like you're both like carrying a load together. And it feels like, oh, I was carrying the whole thing by myself the whole time. I spent all this time giving you grace. I spent all this effort in forgiving you and assuming the best. And I didn't get the same courtesy. And so, yeah, I'm putting a lot into a relationship that yeah, I was maybe expecting the same. When I felt like I was getting the same. Though I'm wondering if now, because of what happened, is there's been silent just acceptance of things I do and no coaching, no feedback. And then all of a sudden it's like it hit a breaking point. It's like, did you not think that I would have listened? Did you not think that I would have wanted to change? Were you afraid of the dialogue? Were you afraid of what I would have said? So
So a lot of unanswered questions. Right now in your relationship with Sam, what are the things you need to be able to repair or to move on?
um, I would need to know that she will be open with me if I do something that hurts her, or question what I do, and be okay to have a conversation about that. To help me not be afraid of interacting with her. I will I would need to know that we could have a conversation. I'm willing to learn of and maybe have my mind changed, but I'm not going to just offer my mind to be changed. It has to make sense to me. But in the end, if it's not, I need her to accept that I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say something when you're capable of saying something yourself. Um, yeah, I feel very strongly not enabling the victim mindset.
Okay, so it sounds like for you to what you need to be able to get through this hurt, if you're going to mend this relationship, it's going to involve a conversation that's truly an exchange, not just like a capitulation of like I was wrong and
Yeah,
I'm whenever you say, raise the flag, I'm going to do whatever you say. It sounds like to you that's not the reciprocal relationship you thought you had and it's not the kind of relationship you want with her, right?
yeah.
What, from your experience, if you really think, rack your brain, what helps Sam feel safe?
I mean, I guess support. I'm wondering if I called her when that happened and asked like, "How are you doing?" Was that like, and reached out to her. I think just knowing that I would have known that would have hurt her. I think that's reasonable. Um, my refusing to kind of get in the middle and help everyone calm down might be interpreted as I don't care. So maybe reaching out and kind of explaining what my intent was and how I show that I do care.
If you were going to repair or begin to repair that relationship, say even this evening or tomorrow morning, what's an action that you would choose to demonstrate that safety or care?
I'm thinking trying to call her up or see her would be seen as not respectful, though that's what I would like to do. So it seems like a letter is a gentler uh, approach, and just say, "I'd like to have a conversation. I care about you. Let's talk."
Okay.
Something.
Yeah, so I've heard you mention, I mean, 2 times now, that a letter might be a good idea, that it might not seem as manipulative or like forcing a repair or forcing a confrontation.
Yeah, a gentle invitation to maybe open up her eyes to what she's assuming may not be as accurate. Because it seems like she's assuming that I'm not willing to learn or to listen or to change, and so I it would just be taking a shot in the dark and guessing what she's assuming and see if I can correct anything.
Okay, I'm going to be maybe a little more blunt than I
Go for
normally
it.
would be.
I'm
Sorry.
obviously
I
missing something.
no, no, no. I figure I can do this because you've been pretty upfront and you like conversations. If you go to her explaining your reasons why you didn't support her, how do you think she'll react?
Yeah, that's not the best approach. I was thinking more of saying, hey, I'm really hurt. I would like to learn about how to support you better. And when you're ready, have a conversation about what happened. Um, it 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 I want you to know, like, I miss you. Um, and despite how hard it is, I'm willing to wait longer if you need more time. But um, I want to, yeah, maybe that is what I'm going to do. I don't know.
How does that feel when you're saying those things? How does that seem like something you would do?
I'd be willing to listen, and then I'd ask, and then I'd kind of see, like, are you just needing to know I'm here for you? Um, and see if that helps. But if it turns into a conversation where I need to know you have my back when we're having a family text or a family conversation, it would be, well, describe to me to know what that means, and then go into, like, I can or can't. And if so, yeah, that might not be received well, but I don't know how to, if that's like the only conversation is you need to do X or this isn't going to be okay, then I'll be like, we can talk about it more, but I can't do X.
I think what you're striking at is, I actually was just talking with a close family member today about this very thing. Almost any conflict we go into, I don't know if you're familiar with positions and interests. A position is the thing you're going to do to meet your needs. An interest is the value, belief, or the need that's driving the action. It's your why. I hear your why, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I hear your why is I love myself and I love you. If that's clear, I love myself and I love you, then you're going to be able to brainstorm the how. Too often we put our conflicts as if I can do this or I can do this. I can either support her or I can, like, put myself down, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're polar, but the best decisions are I can do this and this because you love yourself and you love her. And then once that's set, then moving into the next step is, how do I think she will feel my love? Like, all the research on estrangement shows that, continuing acceptance and warmth, that's kind of what feeds people wanting to come back to relationships. So then the how is, what do I think will actually work? What do I actually think will thaw the cold between us so that she feels my love? Right? That's the main question. If you know you feel love yourself, this is a series of steps. This is not one conversation. This is not one letter, right? There's going to be a series of repair because it's been a pretty big breach and there's no expectation that quickly goes away. But if the first step is, how can I help this person feel my love? That's a very different approach than, how can I help this person understand why I was justified just like they were justified? Does that make sense? That's a very
yeah.
different framing to a first step in repair. So I would just suggest to think about that question of, what's the first step to thaw and help that person feel my love? Does
Seems
anything
like,
come to mind, or is that?
um, I mean, the first thing is just to talk about, like, I miss you and I'm sorry you're hurting. End of sentence.
I think you just said it. That's the beginning of the desire to reconnect, right? We want what we had, like, we want to go back and, like, put it back to what it was. But with the rift, it's going to have to be broken up into smaller steps. But again, you identifying, like, this is clearly a relationship that matters to you. The fact that you've chosen to talk about it with me, right? If I care that much, I care to do it in a way that's actually effective and not just self-justifying. Because if you do the self-justifying route, especially if you start on that route, you're pretty likely to not get a thaw. Am I justified? Is it effective? I ask myself that almost every day.
So what I'm thinking is after like, I miss you, I'm sorry you're hurting. The next thought is, I want to learn more about how you want to be loved, how it looks like loving you, how to help you feel that I love you. And just saying like, I accept how you're feeling. I can accept that and I can hold it. And there's space with me to just hold that independent of how I feel about it.
Again, as long as that's an and statement, that if you do that and you say that sincerely, if it's not her love that's reciprocating back, that you actually have others in your circle that support you in extending something that's hard to extend, right? It's hard to extend the love that you don't feel coming back.
Yeah. Yes. And so making sure I have a well from other sources. That's a good point. Yeah.
So good to visit with you. I really appreciate your ability you are a good communicator. You are a clear communicator. And you have some gifts to give, and there's also some love for you to receive also, to know that you are important and that other people can trust you.
Thank you.
Well, like I mentioned before, family estrangement is both incredibly painful and incredibly common. So before I recap a couple of skills we learned from today's session with Morgan, I want to share a few more insights from Dr. Carl Pillemer's work studying hundreds of families who've reconciled. If you're interested in repairing a rift with someone who has cut off all contact, Pillemer suggests reaching out periodically to attempt to build a bridge. Situations change over time and anger often dissipates. It's worth checking in with your family member to see if he or she is ready to engage. While you're doing that, keep in mind that successful reconciliation often requires being willing to set past arguments aside and focus on moving forward in your relationship, rather than trying to rehash who did what. And Dr. Pillemer says that when you're hoping to reconcile, it's helpful to think about the very least you can accept from the relationship. Maybe you're willing to see each other, but only during limited times or in controlled circumstances. Are there boundaries you could set that would allow at least some contact to resume? For example, an adult daughter might tell her mother, "You're welcome to visit, but you cannot criticize my parenting choices." I put a link to a post by Dr. Pillemer in the show notes if you'd like to read more. As for the skills to remember from today's session with Morgan, the first thing is that it's really important to figure out what ideas you might be blending together. Take time to untangle your interpretations about what's happened and the meaning you're attaching to it with the story you're telling. Second is distinguishing between your position and your interest. Your position in a conflict is the thing that you are going to do or not do. Your interest is the value, belief, or need that's driving you to take that position. Often in conflicts, we view our options as either or, but the best decisions are, I can do this and this. You've got a better chance at finding that and option if you've gotten clear on what value, belief, or need is driving you. And finally, try breaking down relational repair into different steps. Morgan wants her sister to understand why she did what she did and how being cut off has hurt her. But first, she needs to build a bridge with Sam to help her feel safe again. A letter simply expressing her love for Sam could be a first step that would also provide some space for reflection that Sam could pick up on her own time without feeling pressured. Thanks for joining me today. If there's someone in your life who might benefit from listening to this episode, please share it. Because, as I always say, it's not a question of if, but when we're going to experience conflict, and we do much better when we're prepared. The Conflict Coach with Dr. Emily Taylor is a BYU radio podcast. I'd love to connect with you on social media. Find me on Facebook and Instagram at Conflict Coach with Dr. Emily, where I'm sharing more ideas for working through conflict And if you or someone you know has a conflict that you'd like to discuss on the podcast, send me an email to conflictcoach@byu.edu. And next time, I'm coaching someone in a high conflict job who's worried about what all that conflict is doing to him. I hope you'll join me.